Welcome everybody, Don Giannatti from lighting-essentials.com and project52prosystem.com. This is another in my ongoing series of what makes this photograph great. Been doing this is number 14, so I thought I'd jump in here and give a little clarification once again. I'm not a wedding or baby or consumer photographer, so I won't be talking about wedding and consumer photographers. I'm not a photojournalist nor a documentary photographer, so I won't be talking about those photographers. And I probably won't be getting into many of the art photographers who get a lot of press already. I'm talking about photographers in the commercial, editorial realm, people who are journeywomen out there making a living with photography. Now today, we're talking about a kind of a crossover photographer, and this photographer was so impactful on my direction that it really boggles my mind, big time. I'm not doing photographers that I'm only doing it 52 photographers, so I'm not doing photographers that I didn't like, or that if it wasn't that I didn't like them, I just was ambivalent towards them. I'm doing photographers that really impacted me. It's a personal thing. There's a lot of great photographers out there who should be on this list that probably didn't impact me, nor did I want to do a video of them. But the ones on here, these are the amazing people. And this one gentleman, when I saw his work starting to appear in the late 70s, early 80s, I was knocked out again by not only technical prowess, but by the sheer breadth of his creativity. I'm talking about the photographer Rodney Smith, a fashion and portrait photographer based out of New York. And we're going to start off with this first image here of the gentleman standing in a field. What makes this photograph great? Well, what doesn't make this photograph great? It's an incredible photograph. It's just engaging. Everything that Rodney is doing here, from the choice of depth of field to the composition. Look at the composition. Dead center, right? Dead center in it. We have the horizon going right above the shoulders, which brings attention to the face. Brings it right in here. And the whimsical little, spyglass kind of thing removes it from reality by one step. I love the little touch of the wheat in the jacket. But the bowler hat earned him a lot of people talking about the similarities between him and the artist Magritte, who also photographed or painted people with bowler hats. But really, it was a way for Smith to set his people apart. Now, we're only going to look at 9 images. We're not going to cover the breadth of what he did. We're going to look at 9 images, not all of his work. We're not seeing any color work. We're not going to look at his editorial fashion. We're looking at this very specific type of photography. Rodney Smith could be 6 episodes alone. For that matter, so could Herb Ritz, so could have many of the photographers on here. But this particular approach we're going to go down is Rodney's people and this unique approach in the square format. Next image up, obviously a fashion image. Notice the use of the umbrella as a unifying factor. The same design that we have with the people is reflected in the New York City skyline, up and down. It's a popular way of mirroring the background, and that's what he's done. Notice the hat on the gentleman. The women are all looking elsewhere, and he's looking straight across. This is a beautiful shot. I love the reflections in the water. I think this reflection in the water up front adds a completely awesome little touch that without it would still be a really good picture. But this right here, this is that one little thing that is done to make the shot just one step better, one layer more on the hierarchy of excellence. The fog, the mist helps the people stand out, another really brilliant thing to do. And overall, just an incredible image, just incredible. He did a lot of this kind of work too. The frame with the gentleman's hand reaching through the frame, kicking out, this kind of whimsical, fun, challenging to the eye kind of work that he did. And again, notice the dead center composition. I think that my composition style, which is dead center, came a lot from Rodney Smith and Herb Ritts, and those two in particularly really just grounded into me. I'm not a thirds, what is it called? The law of thirds or whatever, bunk. If you want to shoot to the rule of thirds, that's awesome. You get to make pictures like everybody else shooting to the rule of thirds. I pick pictures like, I guess, everybody else shooting in the middle. I don't care. I don't care. It's where I see things in my brain. I love his choice of depth of field, and notice he's placed the gentleman at the center of these converging lines. These sort of old garden walls of plants and things were a big part of his work, but the centering of it and the bringing the foot out and bringing the hand out into the shadowed background, it's just really, really exceptional. This is one of my favorite shots. I always remember seeing it. I was sitting in my studio, my little studio, and I had just gotten back from doing a photo shoot of a model, young model, who I just knew was going to go places, and she did. She took right off and went to New York and became a bit of a supermodel. But I came in the studio, and I believe it was Harper's Bazaar was sitting on the table, because back in those days, people brought magazines to your home. You would buy a thing called a subscription, and actually people would leave it at your house. I know, it's like, what? Anyway, and this shot was in it, and I was just, boom, that was it, transfixed. What makes this shot great? What doesn't? Look at the centering of everything here. He's in the center. The image is broken in half. The little hat comes out into the empty space here, and we can see it so perfectly against that space. There's nothing for our eye to grasp onto here at all, and the head then gets buried into the thing. So it's a bit of a funny photograph. It's a bit of whimsical, and it's just a beautiful photograph from all the technical aspects of it. Just a great shot. This is one from a series of images that he did. Really, really fun. The young man is doing a dance move on the top of the bale of hay. Notice the foggy background. Notice the subject, right up against that background. I mean, you would think this is like a studio photograph, right? Smith worked in the studio now and then. I honestly can't recall that many pictures in the studio, but he certainly knew his way around the studio. This was where he was at home, creating not only this picture of the guy flying, again, dead center, but also notice these little round hay bales out here that dot the landscape and all the negative space above. Negative space was really, really important. And no, he didn't care if the skies were blown out white. I know. Wild, huh? Another Magritte maybe looking shot. The ladder going up. Look at the centering of the photograph. Look at the leading lines. Everything leads up to this gentleman again against this naked sky. And the inclusion of that bare tree was not just a fortuitous accident. Everything in Smith's photographs is chosen and placed very correctly in his mind to make the shot that he wants to make. This is very deliberate photography. This image is also one of those whimsical shots that, again, notice the centering of the subject. Notice the leading lines going back. Notice the naked area back here of fog, the empty space. It's just so clever. Look at the repeating. We've got a triangle here. We've got an inverted triangle here, and we've got a triangle on the head. The glasses just add a little bit of whimsy to it. Really, 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 really clever shot. A beautiful shot. What makes this photograph great? Well, because it's just really a great photograph, isn't it? Look at that. Two gentlemen are kind of matched for height, doing something almost silly, or at least modeling each other there. They are dead center of the picture. The horizon line brings the heads up into the empty space of the sky. We've got the little bit of water here. And once again, notice how Smith places these very, very contrasty people in black against these very bright white areas. And, you know, the pier is nice and sharp. These are beautifully done prints. Lots of contrast in the prints, just very overcast and gray clouds. And I think it's a style that is just amazing. And lastly is probably one of my absolute favorite shots by Rodney Smith. And I really only have about 1,000 favorite shots of from Rodney Smith, but this is one in that small number of favorite shots, maybe around 1,000, 1,200. Anyway, is this one. I just look at the tree. It's almost like a fine art photograph of a landscape. This tree. The two gentlemen in in top hats. Look at this guy bending back. Look at this guy leaning down. It's almost a fairy tale here, and it's brought to us with all this empty space of the fog back here, the dark brooding tree, the beautifully exposed tones of this thing. This is an incredible shot. This particular shot places the tree dead center, as we can see, and our guys are over on one side, almost as though an afterthought. They're balanced out by this branch and that branch. Boom, 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 boom. See what I'm saying? They're balanced out pretty well. And so the symmetry of this shot, even though we're using this crazy, weird-looking tree in the middle, the symmetry is not lost. It's still something, 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 something. This weighs it right down in the center. There's something about his work that was always so beautifully done, is the symmetry. The symmetry. Look at the symmetry, right? It's just really incredible. Up here, the symmetry again, the trees in the back, the symmetry of the hedge, the symmetry of the roll of hay. It's in all of his photographs, there's this real sense of composition. Now, Rodney Smith passed away in 2016, but he wrote a blog from about 2007 through about 2015 that I think was possibly one of the best photographic blogs I have ever read. He tried to do it once a week, but there were weeks when he missed it. But it is an absolute gem of writing by a passionate, real, been there, done that photographer. It's called The End Starts Here, and down below there is a link to it. I couldn't possibly encourage you more highly to go and read this blog. than I am. I'm imploring you, if you are a professional photographer, you want to be a professional photographer, go to the end, go all the way back, bookmark it, and spend a little time over the next 6 or 7 months reading these amazing posts. He talks about his life, his work, specific jobs, working some of his first jobs for Vogue, some of his first jobs for big corporations. It's really, really fascinating, and man, oh man, I can't encourage you more. Well, got a little bit over time on this one. The photographer's name is Rodney Smith, one of my all-time favorites, one of the photographers that helped me form my own way of working, my own compositional things. And I think we'll, of course, at some point we're going to talk about another fantastic, a couple more, Arthur Elgort, the amazing Patrick de Marchelier, and of course, Peter Lindbergh down the road here. Fantastic photographers. And this is Rodney Smith. If you like this thing, hit the subscribe button if you like what I'm doing here. And if you don't like what I'm doing here, how come you made it all the way to 16 minutes? Jeez. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.